Many people spend their lives trapped in worry because they believe everything depends on their own planning, timing, and control. The mind constantly searches for certainty, trying to predict outcomes, prevent pain, and secure success before it even arrives. This habit of overthinking often grows from fear, fear of failure, fear of loss, fear of the unknown future. Yet the reality a believer must remember is that Allah's plan has already been written with complete knowledge, perfect wisdom, and endless mercy. What you cannot see, Allah already knows. What you cannot understand, Allah has already measured with precision. Overthinking happens when the heart forgets that Allah is Al-Hakim, the most wise. Humans see only a small moment of life, while Allah sees the entire journey from beginning to end. A person may desperately want something because it looks good at the present moment, but Allah knows whether it will bring peace or regret later. Sometimes doors close not because you are unlucky, but because Allah is protecting you from harm you cannot yet recognize. Many people look back years later and realize that what once felt like disappointment was actually divine protection guiding them towards something better. When worries fill the mind, they create the illusion that thinking more will solve everything. A person replays conversation, imagines future problems, and questions every decision. This mental exhaustion does not change destiny, it only steals peace from the present. Allah never asked human beings to carry the burden of controlling outcomes. He asked them to make effort, to act with sincerity, and then to trust Him completely. The heart finds rest when it understands that responsibility belongs to effort, while results belong to Allah. Often overthinking comes from comparing personal timelines with others. Seeing others succeed, marry, achieve goals, or find stability can make someone feel left behind. The mind begins asking why life is moving differently, why prayers seem unanswered, or why progress feels slow. Yet Allah creates every soul with a unique path. Just because someone else receives something earlier does not mean it is better. Timing itself is part of Allah's mercy. Some blessings arrive late because the person needs emotional strength, spiritual maturity, or life experience before receiving them. Human beings tend to measure goodness by immediate comfort, but Allah measures goodness by long-term benefit. A delayed opportunity might be shaping patience. A delayed opportunity might be building resilience. A closed door might be redirecting you towards something far greater than what you originally wanted. Allah's plan is not random. It is carefully arranged even when it appears confusing. Every moment carries wisdom, even those filled with uncertainty. Another reason people overthink is the desire for guarantees. The heart prays with conviction. The heart wants reassurance that everything will work out exactly as imagined. However, faith grows when certainty comes from trusting Allah rather than controlling circumstances. Tawakkul means believing that whatever Allah chooses will ultimately lead to goodness, even if the path includes temporary hardship. When a believer truly internalizes this, anxiety begins to soften because the future no longer feels like a threat but a journey guided by divine care. There are moments when life feels silent, when prayers feels invisible. During such times, overthinking becomes louder because the mind tries to fill the silence with doubt. Yet Allah works in unseen ways. Situations are being arranged beyond human awareness. Hearts are being prepared, obstacles are being removed, and opportunities are forming quietly. Just because you cannot see movement does not mean nothing is happening. Seeds grow beneath the soil long before they break through the surface. Reflecting on past experiences often reveals how many worries were unnecessary. Problems that once seemed overwhelming eventually passed. Situations that felt impossible eventually resolved. These memories serve as reminders that Allah has always been guiding your life, even during moments when fear dominated your thoughts. Recognizing this pattern helps weaken the habit of overthinking because it builds confidence in Allah's continuous care. Trusting Allah's plan does not mean abandoning effort or responsibility. Islam encourages planning, striving, and making wise decisions. The difference lies in the state of the heart after effort is made. Overthinking keeps the heart attached to outcomes, while trust frees the heart from constant anxiety. A believer works sincerely but leaves the unseen results to Allah, knowing that success is not defined only by achieving personal desires, but by being guided toward what is truly beneficial. Overthinking also drains gratitude. When the mind constantly worries about what might go wrong, it overlooks the blessings already present. Allah's plan includes countless favors that often go unnoticed: health, protection from unseen harm, lessons learned through challenges, and moments of unexpected ease. Gratitude shifts attention from fear of the future to appreciation of the present, allowing the heart to experience calmness even while uncertainty exists. Faith transforms perspective. Instead of asking why something is happening, the believer begins asking what Allah wants them to learn from it. Instead of fearing delay, they see preparation. Instead of assuming rejection, they recognize redirection. This shift does not remove life's difficulties, but it changes how the soul carries them. Worries lose their power when the heart believes that every event is part of a merciful plan designed by Allah. The greatest relief comes when a person realizes they were never meant to figure everything out alone. Allah's knowledge surrounds every detail of existence, every struggle, every tear, every hidden hope. What feels overwhelming to the human mind is already under Allah's control. Accepting this truth allows the heart to release unnecessary mental burdens and replace them with quiet trust, knowing that even in uncertainty, Allah's plan continues unfolding with wisdom beyond human understanding. Overthinking often begins when a person feels the need to understand every detail of life before moving forward. The mind searches for certainty, constantly asking what will happen next, whether decisions are correct, and how situations will turn out. This endless questioning slowly weakens the heart's reliance on Allah because it shifts trust away from divine wisdom and places it on human reasoning alone. When a believer starts believing that peace will come only after gaining complete control over outcomes, anxiety naturally grows because human beings were never created to control destiny. True tawakkul or reliance upon Allah means accepting that human knowledge is limited while Allah's knowledge is perfect. Overthinking challenges this principle because it assumes that thinking more, worrying more, or analyzing more will somehow secure the future. In reality, excessive thinking often creates confusion instead of clarity. The heart becomes tired, restless, and fearful because it carries responsibilities that belong only to Allah. Trust in Allah is not passive resignation, it is active faith combined with effort and surrender. A person who overthinks often revisits the same concerns repeatedly. They replay conversations, imagine worst-case scenarios, and question whether they made the right choice. This mental cycle slowly replaces confidence in Allah's plan with self-doubt. Instead of believing that Allah guides sincere efforts, the person begins believing that one small mistake could destroy everything. This mindset ignores Allah's mercy and guidance as if success depends entirely on human perfection rather than divine support. Tawakkul teaches that effort is required, but outcomes are not controlled by human hands. A believer plans, works, and strives, but understands that results unfold according to Allah's wisdom. Overthinking blurs this distinction. It convinces the mind that thinking harder can change destiny, while in reality it only increases stress. The Prophet Muhammad emphasized tying the camel and trusting Allah, meaning one must take practical steps while leaving the unseen matters to Allah. Overthinking happens when someone keeps checking the rope again and again, unable to rest even after doing what was necessary. Many people struggle with trust because they associate uncertainty with danger. When life feels unpredictable, the mind attempts to create safety through excessive analysis. However, spiritual safety comes from remembering that Allah is in control at all times. Even unexpected outcomes are not accidents. They are part of a greater plan. Trust grows when a believer realizes that Allah's wisdom operates beyond human understanding. What appears confusing today may later reveal itself as mercy. Overthinking also stems from fear of regret. People worry about making wrong decisions and facing consequences. They imagine future disappointment and attempt to prevent it through endless mental preparation. Yet Islam teaches that sincere intentions and honest effort are already valued by Allah. If a decision is made with prayer, consultation, and good intention, the believer trusts that Allah will guide the result toward goodness. Even mistakes become lessons that lead to growth rather than permanent failure. Another reason overthinking weakens tawakkul is that it focuses heavily on personal ability while forgetting Allah's power. The heart becomes occupied with questions like, what if I fail? Or what if things go wrong? Instead of remembering that Allah can change circumstances instantly. The believer is never alone in facing challenges. Divine assistance exists even when it is unseen. When reliance shifts back to Allah, fear begins to lose its intensity because the future no longer depends solely on human strength. Overthinking also creates emotional exhaustion. Constant worry drains energy needed for worship, gratitude, and meaningful action. The mind becomes crowded with imagined problems, leaving little space for remembrance of Allah. Tawakkul brings mental clarity because it frees the heart from carrying unnecessary burdens. When a believer trusts Allah, they focus on what can be done today rather than becoming trapped in fears about tomorrow. Life repeatedly teaches that many worries never actually happen. Situations people feared intensely often resolve in unexpected ways. These experiences are reminders that Allah's management of life is far more precise than human planning. Each time a difficulty passes, it strengthens evidence that trust in Allah is more reliable than overthinking. The believer learns to replace constant questioning with quiet confidence in divine care. Trusting Allah does not remove emotions or eliminate concern entirely. Humans naturally feel uncertainty and hesitation. Tawakkul means directing those feelings toward Allah through prayer, remembrance, and sincere reliance instead of allowing them to grow into obsessive worry-making. Duʿā becomes an act of releasing control, acknowledging that Allah understands needs better than the person asking. Patience plays an important role in strengthening trust. Overthinking demands immediate answers, while tawakkul accepts gradual unfolding. Allah sometimes delays clarity so that faith deepens. Waiting becomes an opportunity to develop reliance rather than frustration. When the heart learns to remain calm during uncertainty, it experiences a unique form of peace that does not depend on circumstances. Another powerful aspect of tawakkul is recognizing that Allah's wisdom includes both ease and difficulty. Trust is not limited to moments when life goes smoothly. It becomes most meaningful during challenges. Overthinking interprets hardship as a sign that something is wrong, while trust understands hardship as part of a purposeful journey. Even trials carry hidden blessings, protection, or spiritual elevation. As reliance on Allah strengthens, the believer begins to live more fully in the present. Instead of being trapped in endless mental scenarios, they perform their duties with sincerity and leave the unseen future to Allah. The heart prays with conviction. The heart feels lighter because it no longer tries to control what only Allah controls. Peace emerges not from knowing every answer, but from knowing who holds all answers. Many people assume that progress in life must always be visible. They expect clear signs, immediate results, and constant movement toward their goals. When nothing appears to change, the heart becomes restless and the mind begins to overthink. Questions arise about whether efforts are being wasted, whether prayers are unanswered, or whether life has become stuck. Yet, what feels like delay is often a period of divine preparation. Allah's wisdom operates beyond human perception, arranging circumstances long before outcomes appear. Human beings naturally measure success through speed. Society praises quick achievements and instant results, creating pressure to reach milestones within certain timelines. When life unfolds differently, individuals often interpret delay as failure or rejection. However, Allah's timing is never based on human urgency. What appears slow from a human perspective may actually be perfectly timed within a greater plan. Preparation often happens quietly, shaping the person internally, while external change remains unseen. A delay can be a period where character is being strengthened. Patience, humility, resilience, and emotional maturity rarely develop during moments of ease. They grow during waiting, uncertainty, and perseverance. Allah prepares a believer not only for the blessing itself, but also for the responsibility that comes with it. Receiving something too early can sometimes cause harm if the person is not ready to handle it wisely. The waiting period becomes a form of mercy, ensuring that when the blessing arrives, it brings stability rather than struggle. During times of delay, Allah may also be arranging people and circumstances beyond human awareness. Opportunities often depend on connections, timing, and events that unfold far away from one's immediate environment. While a person feels that nothing is happening, countless unseen factors may already be moving into place. A future job, relationship, or opportunity may require events to align in ways only Allah can orchestrate. The believer sees stillness, but Allah sees preparation in motion. Overthinking during delays often comes from comparing personal journeys with others. Watching others achieve goals quickly can create feelings of inadequacy or confusion. The heart begins questioning why life seems easier for others while remaining difficult personally. Yet comparison ignores the uniqueness of individual paths. Each person carries different tests, lessons, and destinies. What arrives early for someone else may not carry the same benefit for another person. Allah designs each timeline according to individual needs, not societal expectations. Delays also serve as moments of spiritual refinement. When desires are postponed, the believer turns more sincerely toward Allah. Dua becomes deeper, reliance becomes stronger, and faith becomes more conscious. Immediate fulfillment might satisfy temporary desires, but waiting cultivates a stronger relationship with Allah. The heart learns to seek comfort not only in outcomes, but in closeness to its Creator. Pray hard, pray with conviction. Sometimes delay protects a person from unseen harm. A missed opportunity may prevent involvement in situations that would have caused regret or difficulty. A postponed plan may save someone from emotional pain or wrong choices. Humans often focus on what they lose rather than what they are being protected from. Only with time do many realize that certain delays were acts of divine care, guiding them away from paths that were never meant for them. The process of preparation often involves internal transformation. Allah may be teaching lessons, correcting intentions, or helping a person grow stronger before granting what they desire. Without this preparation, blessings might feel overwhelming or unsustainable. Just as a seed requires time beneath the soil before becoming a tree, human growth also requires unseen development. The absence of visible progress does not mean absence of progress itself. Overthinking during delays can lead to discouragement because the mind expects constant confirmation. Faith, however, grows strongest when belief continues despite uncertainty. Trusting Allah during waiting periods is an act of worship. It reflects confidence that Allah's wisdom exceeds human understanding. The believer learns that value lies not only in reaching the destination, but also in the transformation experienced along the journey. Delays teach surrender. When plans do not unfold as expected, individuals realize the limits of personal control. This realization is not meant to create hopelessness, but to invite reliance upon Allah. Surrendering control allows the heart to rest, recognizing that every moment has purpose, even if it is not immediately clear. Instead of resisting the waiting period, the believer begins to use it productively through self-improvement, gratitude, and spiritual growth. Another hidden aspect of delay is the development of appreciation. When something arrives after patience and perseverance, it is valued more deeply. Immediate success may be taken for granted, while delayed blessings are recognized as gifts shaped by effort and faith. Waiting teaches gratitude, ensuring that the blessing strengthens rather than weakens the soul. Life repeatedly demonstrates that some of the most meaningful outcomes require time. Relationships, personal achievements, emotional healing, and spiritual understanding often emerge gradually. The heart learns that speed does not determine worth. Allah's preparation ensures that events unfold when they bring the greatest benefit, even if that timing challenges human expectations. During periods that feel stagnant, Allah continues guiding every step. Growth may occur internally through increased wisdom, improved character, or renewed faith. These forms of progress are not always visible, but are essential foundations for future blessings. The believer begins to understand that delay does not equal abandonment. Instead, it reflects a stage of careful planning within Allah's perfect design. Recognizing divine preparation changes how waiting is experienced. Instead of viewing delay as emptiness, the believer sees it as meaningful time filled with unseen mercy, patience. It becomes easier when the heart believes that Allah is actively arranging goodness behind the scenes. Each moment of waiting transforms into an opportunity for trust, reflection, and growth, allowing the believer to move forward with hope rather than anxiety, confident that what is meant to arrive will come exactly when it is meant to come. A believer's relationship with Allah is deeply connected to Duʿā, the sincere conversation between the servant and the Creator. When a person raises their hands in prayer, they are expressing hope, dependence, and trust in Allah's mercy. Yet many people struggle with doubt when their du'a does not appear to be answered immediately. Overthinking begins when expectations about how and when prayers should be fulfilled replace trust in Allah's wisdom. The heart may wonder whether the prayer was heard, whether it was accepted, or whether something is wrong. In reality, every sincere du'a reaches Allah, and no supplication made with sincerity is ever ignored. Allah listens to every whisper of the heart, even the prayers that remain unspoken. Human beings often measure response through visible change, expecting instant solutions or clear signs. However, Allah responds to du'a in ways that go beyond human understanding. Sometimes the exact request is granted quickly, sometimes it is delayed for a better moment, and sometimes Allah replaces it with something greater or protects the believer from harm they cannot see. The response exists even when it does not match personal expectations. One reason people feel discouraged is because they assume silence means rejection. Yet divine silence is often preparation rather than denial. Allah may be strengthening patience, deepening faith, or arranging circumstances before granting what is asked. Just as certain seeds require time before they grow, some prayers need the right conditions to unfold. The believer learns that waiting after du'a is not emptiness but part of the response itself. Du'a also transforms the one who makes it. While a person focuses on the outcome they desire, Allah may be changing their heart, purifying intentions, or guiding them towards spiritual growth. The act of repeatedly turning to Allah builds humility and reliance. Each prayer becomes an acknowledgement that human strength is limited and divine help is essential. Through du'a, the believer develops closeness with Allah that extends beyond specific requests. Overthinking often leads individuals to analyze their prayers excessively. They question whether they used the right words, whether they were worthy enough, or whether past mistakes prevented acceptance. Islam teaches that Allah's mercy is vast and not restricted by human perfection. A sincere heart matters more than eloquent speech. Even a simple, quiet call for help carries immense value. Allah responds to sincerity, not flawless expression. Another important aspect of du'a is understanding that Allah's knowledge surpasses human desire. A person may pray intensely for something believing it will bring happiness, while Allah knows it may cause difficulty or harm later. In such cases, withholding the request becomes an act of mercy. Just as a caring parent may refuse a child's request for something harmful, Allah protects His servants through wisdom that transcends immediate understanding. What appears unanswered may actually be protection disguised as delay. Dua is never wasted because its effects extend beyond visible outcomes. Every prayer earns reward, increases spiritual connection, and brings comfort to the heart. Even when circumstances remain unchanged, the believer often experiences inner peace after sincere supplication. This tranquility itself is part of Allah's response, reminding the servant that they are not alone in their struggles. Sometimes Allah answers dua by opening unexpected doors. The solution may arrive differently than imagined through opportunities, people, or insights that guide the believer toward goodness. Overthinking can prevent recognition of these subtle responses because the mind remains fixed on a specific outcome. Trust allows the heart to remain open to Allah's wisdom, accepting that the best answer may not look like the original request. Persistence in du'a holds special significance. Continually turning to Allah demonstrates faith and hope. Repetition does not indicate that Allah needs reminding. It reflects the believer's devotion and dependence. Each repeated supplication strengthens the bond between servant and creator. The process teaches patience, sincerity, and unwavering belief that Allah hears every call. Moments of hardship often intensify du'as because they reveal human vulnerability. When worldly solutions fail, the believer recognizes the power of divine assistance. These moments become opportunities for spiritual elevation. Allah draws His servant closer through challenges, encouraging them to rely more deeply on Him. The struggle itself becomes a path toward increased faith. Overthinking about unanswered prayers can also distract from gratitude for blessings already received. Many prayers made in the past have been answered, sometimes so naturally that they are forgotten. Reflecting on previous moments when Allah provided relief strengthens confidence that current prayers are also under divine care. Gratitude balances hope, allowing the believer to remain patient without losing faith. Faith in du'a means believing that Allah responds at the perfect time. Human beings live within limited timelines, while Allah's timing encompasses wisdom beyond human perception. A delayed response may align with future circumstances that bring greater benefit. Trusting this timing reduces anxiety because the believer understands that outcomes unfold according to divine knowledge rather than human urgency. Du'a also serves as emotional healing. Expressing fears, hopes, and pain to Allah releases burdens carried within the heart. Even before circumstances change, the act of supplication brings relief. The believer feels heard, supported, and guided. This spiritual comfort reminds the soul that Allah's mercy surrounds every moment of life. When a believer continues making du'a despite uncertainty, it reflects deep trust. The heart learns that acceptance is not limited to visible results but includes the unseen wisdom behind every response. Each prayer becomes a step closer to Allah, reinforcing the understanding that divine care never ceases and that every sincere call reaches the one who listens without delay, understands without explanation, and responds with perfect wisdom. Hardships are among the most misunderstood experiences in human life. When difficulties arise, the natural reaction is to assume that something has gone wrong or that one is being punished. The heart feels heavy, questions multiply, and overthinking begins to dominate the mind. People wonder why challenges appear despite sincere effort, faith, or good intentions. Yet within Islamic understanding, hardship is not merely an obstacle. It is not merely an obstacle. It is often a form of guidance carefully placed by Allah to lead a person toward growth, protection, and spiritual elevation. Life was never designed to be free from struggle. Every human being encounters moments of loss, disappointment, uncertainty, or emotional pain. These experiences are not signs of abandonment, but part of the journey toward deeper understanding. Allah tests those He loves, not to harm them, but to refine them. Just as gold is purified through intense heat, the believer's character biko. Made stronger through trials, hardship removes arrogance, softens the heart, and reminds a person of their dependence upon Allah. One of the hidden purposes of hardship is redirection. Sometimes individuals pursue paths that seem beneficial but lead away from what is truly good for them. When obstacles appear, they may serve as divine signals guiding the believer toward a better direction. A rejected opportunity, a broken plan, or an unexpected difficulty may actually be steering someone away from harm. What feels like loss in the moment may later reveal itself as protection that preserved faith, dignity, or emotional well-being. Hardships also awaken spiritual awareness. During times of ease, people often become distracted by worldly routines and forget their need for Allah. Comfort can create an illusion of independence, causing the heart to rely more on personal ability than divine support. Difficulty interrupts this illusion. It brings the believer back to sincere prayer, reflection, and remembrance. Through hardship, the connection with Allah deepens because the soul recognizes its true source of strength. Overthinking during hardship often comes from trying to understand every reason behind the pain. The mind searches for explanations, attempting to make sense of events that feel unfair or confusing. Yet not every trial comes with immediate understanding. Some wisdom becomes clear only with time. Faith requires trusting that Allah's knowledge encompasses realities beyond human perception. Accepting that not all answers are immediately visible allows the heart to find patience even in uncertainty. Another important aspect of hardship is personal growth. Challenges reveal strengths that remain hidden during comfortable times. Patience develops when circumstances require endurance. Compassion grows when someone experiences pain firsthand. Resilience forms when a person continues moving forward despite difficulty. These qualities cannot be taught through ease alone. Allah shapes the believer through experiences that expand emotional, spiritual capacity. Hardship also cleanses sins and elevates spiritual rank. Even small moments of discomfort carry reward when endured with patience and faith. The believer understands that no suffering is meaningless. Every difficulty endured with trust becomes a source of purification, lightening the burden of past mistakes and drawing the soul closer to Allah's mercy. This perspective transforms hardship from a source of despair into an opportunity for spiritual renewal. Sometimes hardship prevents greater future pain. A situation that ends abruptly may save someone from deeper heartbreak later. A delayed success may protect a person from responsibilities they were not ready to carry. Humans often focus only on what is immediately visible, while Allah's wisdom extends far into the future. Protection does not always appear as ease. Sometimes it appears as difficulty that blocks harmful paths. During hardship, the believer learns surrender. Control over life's events proves limited, and this realization encourages reliance upon Allah. Instead of fighting circumstances with frustration, the heart gradually accepts that Allah's plan includes both ease and trial. Surrender does not mean giving up effort. It means trusting that every experience serves a higher purpose even when understanding remains incomplete. Hardships also strengthen empathy and connection with others. Those who have experienced struggle often become more compassionate, understanding the pain of others more deeply. Trials cultivate humility, removing feelings of superiority and replacing them with kindness. Through hardship, individuals develop the ability to support and uplift others, transforming personal pain into collective benefit. Overthinking can make hardship feel heavier than it truly is. Constantly replaying worries magnifies fear and prevents healing. Faith encourages focusing on what can be learned rather than becoming trapped in endless questioning. Remembering that Allah is aware of every difficulty brings comfort. Nothing escapes His knowledge and no hardship is beyond His ability to transform into goodness. Gratitude becomes especially powerful during trials. Even in difficulty, blessings remain present, moments of support, lessons gained, strength discovered, and faith preserved. Recognizing these blessings shifts perspective from hopelessness to resilience. The believer learns that hardship and mercy can exist simultaneously, each shaping the journey towards spiritual maturity. Many people later recognize that their greatest personal growth emerged from their hardest moments. Experiences once viewed as painful turning points become sources of wisdom and strength. Allah's guidance often arrives disguised as challenge, shaping the believer into someone stronger, wiser, and more connected to faith. Understanding hardship as guidance changes the emotional experience of struggle. Instead of viewing difficulties as meaningless suffering, the believer begins to see them as purposeful steps within a larger plan. Each trial carries lessons, protection, purification, and growth, reminding the heart that even in moments of pain, Allah's mercy continues to surround and guide every step of the way. Our